We are going to see email, electronic mail in the internet. Actually, it is quite interesting topic because this is the task which we are doing daily in our day-to-day life. Yes, email. All of us are sending email through the internet, that we know. As I said already, in the application layer, we have four protocols. One is FTP, SMTP, HTTP, and DNS. So today we are going to see about the SMTP protocol. So what is the use of SMTP protocol? It helps us to send the mails in the internet. So what is the abbreviation of SMTP? It is nothing but Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Okay, so how it works and what are the different components it requires to send the mail from the client to the server. These are the things we are going to see. So basically we have three major components, that is user agent, mail servers, and the protocol called SMTP, which is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. What is user agent? User agent helps us to compose, edit, read the mail message. What is that? Is nothing but, so if we type www.gmail.com, we'll be seeing the interface. Okay, user interface, that is nothing but user agent, which helps us to compose, edit, and read the messages. And the examples are Outlook, Thunderbird, iPhone mail, client, etc. So outgoing and incoming messages are stored on the server. It is not stored in the user agent. We would be thinking that outgoing and incoming messages are stored in the user user agent or user interface. No, actually it is stored in the server. And what is the second component? That is mail server. So it is the server part. User agent is the client side component and the mail server is the server side component. Here we have these components called mailbox, contains incoming messages for the user, and the message queue of outgoing mail messages that has to be sent, and the SMTP protocol. It is between the mail server to send mail. SMTP protocol between mail servers to send mail. It acts between only the mail servers. Then it has client and the server part, that is sending mail server and the server is receiving mail server. With the next diagram you can understand better. So this is the introduction of SMTP. Actually, along with the, you have to remember one thing. Any application layer protocol, if you take either SMTP or FTP or HTTP, it cannot work alone without a transport layer protocol, as we said already. So it needs a transport layer protocol called TCP or UDP. So our SMTP is also going to take the help of the TCP. Okay, the port number which will be used by my protocol called SMTP is port number 25. Next, direct transfer. So it helps to sending server to receiving server. And there are three phases of transfer. One is handshaking, the second one is transfer of message, and the third one is closure. And why this handshaking is required? Since we are using this TCP, we have to do the handshaking, okay, between the client and the server. Then once the handshaking is done, messages will be transferred. Once the transfer of message is done, we will close the connection. Next is command or response interaction. Whatever commands are sent by the client, that will be called as commands, and which we have already seen in the FTP. Commands and the replies we have seen, right? Here we have commands and the response. That will be in the form of ASCII text. And the response will be, as usual, status code and the phrases. It can also be called as status code and the lines. How the messages are transferred in the mail? What is the format of the message? Is ASCII, 7-bit ASCII format. Next is email. So we have email. This is the diagram which we can see here. In the email, we'll be having 4 components. As I said already, we have 4 components. That is user agent, allies agent. We are seeing, right? Allies agent, that is nothing but user agent. This is user agent. It is at the client side. So what happens? We have 2 servers. As we said already, we will be having 2 mail servers between the 2 clients. Okay, so if I want to send mail to my friend called Bob, let us assume I am Alice and my friend is Bob. I have to send the mail. Means what I should do is I have to invoke my user agent. That is, I have to get into the Gmail and I should compose the message and I have to send it to my friend whose mail ID is something bob at gmail.com. Okay, once that is done, what happens? Alias or my user agent sends the message to my mail server. This is my mail server. Whatever messages are sent, that will be stored in my mail server. Clear? This is mail server. It can be called as message queue. So every mail server will be having 2 components. One is message queue and the other is user mailbox. The message queue will be having all the messages which I am sending to the other person, and the mailbox, user mailbox, will be having the mails whichever I am receiving from the others. So every user's mail server will be having 2 components called message queue and the user mailbox. Message queue will be having the outgoing messages and the user mailbox will be having the incoming messages, to say simply. Okay, so if I or to, as I said, if I am sending the message to mail, if I am sending mail to Bob, then it is stored in my message queue, in my mail server's message queue. So from my mail server's message queue, it has to be sent to his own inbox or user mailbox. So how can we do it? How the mails are transferred between the 2 mail servers? That is the question. So for this only, my SMTP is going to help me. So we need SMTP protocol to send the message from one user's mail server to the other user's mail server, or sender's mail server to the receiver's mail server. So my SMTP is helping to send the mails from one mail server to the other mail server. Okay, so once this SMTP helps us to transfer the mails from my mail server to the receiver's inbox or user mailbox, and whenever he wants, he can open his inbox at his own comfortable time and he can see his mails which he has received from me. This is how my SMTP works. Okay, so if you see this commands, I'll read the commands one by one. That is, as I said, Alice invokes her user agent for email and provides Bob's email address, composes a message and instructs the user agent and sends the message. Alice user agent sends the message to her mail server, as I said, where it is placed in the message queue. Then the client side of the SMTP running on Ali's mail server sees the message in the message queue. So now the client side of this is the client side. Okay, client side of the SMTP running on the Ali sees the message in the message queue and it opens a TCP connection. So first it has to open the TCP connection between the 2 mail server running on the Bob's mail server. So after some initial SMTP handshaking, the SMTP client sends Ali's messages, whatever my messages is there, to the Bob's user mailbox. Okay. The server side SMTP receives the message. So whoever is getting the messages, that will be called as a server side. Whoever will be sending the messages, that will be called as the client side. Clear? So this part will be called as client side and the user mailbox will be called as the server side. Clear? So whenever I am sending the message, my message queue will act as a client side SMTP, and whenever Bob is receiving the mail, his user mailbox will be serving as a server side SMTP. Clear? Before sending the message, I have to establish the TCP connection between the two mail servers after handshaking. Clear? Then only the mails will be sent between the servers. Okay. So what happens at Bob's mail server? The server side of the SMTP receives the message. Bob's mail server then places the message in the Bob's mailbox. First it receives the message. Mail server receives the message and places it in the mailbox. Bob's invoke his user agent. Whenever he opens his Gmail, he can check in his inbox whenever he wants. This is how SMTP works. And these are the commands and the messages used in the SMTP. So see, client say hello. This is what handshaking is done. If it is okay, then the server will give 250 as a command, as a reply, and the client will be saying from its own mail ID, that is allies@creeps.fr. Then the server will be saying okay. After authentication it says okay, sender okay. Then client says I want to send the mail to Bob at the receiver's mail ID, it should be given, and again the server will say okay, the recipient is also okay. Then what we have to do, the client will be sending the data, the server will say enter mail, end with double quotes on a line by itself. So body, whatever is typed within the body will be encapsulated with the double quotes. So all the data will be sent. Once the data is sent, the client will say quit and the server will say close the connection. So this is how SMTP interaction happens between the two servers. Okay. As we said, HTTP is a pull protocol. You have to know the difference between HTTP and the SMTP. Since we get the pages information from the server, HTTP is called as pull protocol. SMTP, since we are pushing the mails to the server, it is called push protocol. Yeah. And the similarity is both uses the ASCII text for the as a message format. And this is the mail message format, that is it consists of two things. One is header part and the other is body part. In the header part, as you are seeing in the interface, if you take Yahoo Mail or Gmail, anything, you will be saying from to subject CC BCC. Those are all called header part, and the second part will be the body part in which you will be typing your message. Okay. So these are the two different components. Then comes mail access protocols. So if you take the mail access protocols, under SMTP we have another three protocols which are also called as mail access protocols. They are nothing but POP, IMAP and the HTTP. Why do we need these three protocols? As we have already said, see here, this is the receiver's mail server. Whenever it is sending the mail, the client side SMTP will work. Whenever it is receiving the mail in its user mailbox, the server side SMTP will work. Okay. So whenever I want to get the mail from my mail server, if I want to see the mail from my mail server, I need some protocols called POP, IMAP and HTTP. So this SMTP helps us to send the mails between the servers, mail servers. Clear? But we need some protocols which helps us to get the mail from our own mail server. So these are the three protocols which is going to help us to view the mails from our own mail inbox or mailbox. The first one is POP, Post Office Protocol. So it helps us in authorization and download. Either we can download and keep or download and delete. So if we have any mail from anybody else, from our friends or anybody else, either we have two options which is given by our post office protocol. That is, you can either download and keep or else download and delete. And authorization is also done by our POP, that is user ID and the password we are giving, right? That is also done by our post office protocol. Next comes IMAP, Internet Mail Access Protocol. What is the use of it? It helps us to manipulate the stored messages on the server. Any changes you want to do, if you want to put it in the folder, those modifications can be done with the help of the Internet Mail Access Protocol. Then comes HTTP, as we said, Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo Mail. The protocol is going to help us. Okay, as I said, IMAP organizes in folders. So that's all with the SMTP. With this, we will wind up our SMTP session. Uh, Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.